those. But right now, we are going to press pause on that conversation as we welcome in Dr. Daniel Ennis, president at Delta State University. Dr. Ennis, always appreciate your time. Great to be with you this morning. How are things in Cleveland? Uh-oh, don't have any audio. Hold on just a second.
That was me.
Button on your...
I'm doing great,
Richard.
Go. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Great to be with you this morning. Let's go to the report that came out, I guess it was early last week, first week of November, when it comes out every year. IHL numbers, enrollment numbers. We hear about the higher education cliff, enrollment numbers that are trending down in a lot of places. All in all, the IHL numbers across the state of Mississippi were good, and particularly at Delta State. What was your reaction? Obviously, you've had those enrollment numbers for your school for a while now.
Yes, sir. Well, we were delighted. We're delighted for our IHL sister schools, and in particular, we've been tracking these numbers. Of course, we track them constantly. We're already looking at fall 26 right now, and we've been moving some things around. We had been building a great enrollment team and an admissions process, and we'd made some changes both on the personnel side and the process side, and we knew they were going to bear fruit, but we knew it was going to take a while. So we're happy with where things are now, and we're hoping that the things we put into place for this year's numbers will also continue to yield for Delta State.
So you talk about already looking to 2026. What does your forecasting process look like? Because having an idea of how many students you're going to have is so incredibly important.
It is. Well, one of the things that all colleges have to do that they didn't have to do when I started in this business is put a lot of investment into analytics. And so we know more about prospective college students than we ever did. We know a lot of things about them thanks to the internet. We know, when they took their ACT, we know, what classes they had, and they voluntarily put this information into this, what we call the clearinghouse. But now, often I think I make it akin to sports teams. We're doing a lot more money balling with the numbers. What kind of student comes to Delta State? How much return on investment will we get to recruit this student from this school or this district? And so that lets us put our pretty limited money in a better spot. So there's certain students that, you look at what they want to be and what they've said they want to study, and you go, what, that student's a low priority for Delta State. We're still going to send them something. We'll send them some emails and a brochure, but there's other students that look like Delta State students, and we put our energy into them in a way that is much more nuanced than it used to be. And many colleges are taking this approach, a much more targeted approach to our kind of student.
Well, that's a fascinating way of looking at that. One of the things that, to me, stands out that really a lot of schools in Mississippi have done, whether you're talking about at the college and university level, the community college level, or even at the high school level, is create strategic partnerships with industry that match programs. Some engineering programs that Mississippi State has put in place, and kind of expanding their footprint in the Gulf Coast area. William Carey partnering with local business for specific type employees. I think about some of the offerings at Delta State. I think specifically about the aviation program and about the music production program, and there are probably other areas that we should be looking at as well. Is that something that you're focused on, and what does that look like at Delta State?
Sure, that's a great question. So, like every university in the IHL system, we have a comprehensive range of programs, so a student can find all kinds of things to hear. But it is the fact that most colleges, they have to tent pole the things that they're very good at, especially those programs where there's a niche that doesn't have so much competition. So, the Delta Music Institute is a great example. There's only a handful of national programs that will train students for music production and recording and live sound. And so connecting students who are interested in that with our program and then putting to our price point is a good strategy. Same for things like nursing and aviation, where we know there's an industry that needs skilled workers and they need the credential we offer. And then, with those programs, the great thing is we are able to honestly tell our students, you walk across that graduation stage, it's not if, it's when and how many jobs you're going to sort through before you pick the one you want. And we want that for all our students, but there's certain high impact industries where there's a high need. And frankly, all we're limited by is our capacity to recruit and train and put them out there into the workforce. So that's exciting for those students.
What does your recruiting effort look like in terms of the net you cast? How much of it is in-state versus out-of-state?
So Delta State's a strong in-state school. 81% of our students are in-state, and of that group, a large proportion of them are from the Delta. The 19 county Delta area. So we have a strong local pull. So we'll cast our net across the state, and then, like I said, through analytics and our great leadership over there in the admissions office and Dr. Curtis Coleman, we'll look at other areas where maybe we could establish ourselves. And one of the things I have to tell people is, sometimes someone will say, well, my student didn't get heavily recruited by Delta State, and the reality is all of us have to spend somewhere between $4 and $12 to cultivate a prospect, just like in sales. So I can't recruit every Mississippi high school senior, but our strategy is to look at, obviously high interest in Delta Music Institute or aviation or nursing or our teaching programs. They're more likely to come to Delta State. You mentioned Mississippi State and engineering. Well, we don't have an engineering program. So the kid checks, I'm interested in engineering on their clearinghouse material. Well, we shouldn't spend our money to try to get them to come to Delta State where they might not be happy. I haven't said that.
It's not that we don't like you. It's just there's no return on investment there.
And we don't want a student who doesn't fit here because we want them to get a college degree somewhere. Now, having said that, those decisions are being made by 17-year-olds. And we know that the idea that a 17-year-old knows exactly what they want to be when they're 25 and 30 is a pretty shaky idea. So we don't take those disciplinary decisions as gospel, but we do think about, all right, what kind of student is going to be happy here? And then there's non-academic reasons. Are they looking for a smaller school? Are they looking for residential experience? Are they looking for a particular location? And those things all go into the conversation as well.
A university president has to wear a lot of hats. You've got a great man in Mike Kennison running the athletics department, but an athletics story that has grabbed some headlines. Todd Cooley talking about just baffled by the fact that a football opponent that has been on the schedule said they're not playing this weekend, and it left a lot of people scratching their heads. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I can say that, we had a contract and we have a difference perhaps of opinion between what we believe the contract indicated and what the other institution did. I think for us that the challenge is, I always think about, we're Division II and our students need to learn something from athletics. We're student athlete driven. And so I was chatting with a disappointed football player the other day, and I said, this broke out on Sunday, and then we were chatting yesterday at an event. And, I said, well, the problem is we're now in the hands of a poll. Right? For us to make the playoffs, we have to be voted in because we don't have any more games because another institution made a choice not to play us. In life, you never want to be at the mercy of someone else's opinion. So in some ways, what this shows our students is, you got to take care of your own business so some outsider can't mess with your business. So we don't know how it's going to go. Our guys have had a good season. Our coaches had a good season, and we'll wait on Sunday like everybody else and see what the selection show brings us.
We certainly will hope for the best in that. I want to hit one last thing. This fall semester, in a lot of ways, was difficult on the Delta State campus. You had a tragedy. Just not that my opinion matters, but I thought the way you handled that and the way the university handled that were incredible. It was disappointing to see some of the outside groups that came in and tried to create their own narrative or co-opt that story. How has the Delta State community moved forward since that tragedy early in the semester?
Well, we spent a lot of time talking to our students. I mean, we were fanning out, me and my administrative team and the faculty and staff. We just were present. I mean, we had folks posting up in the student center, just chatting with students. And what really emerged was a consensus among our students. They wanted to honor Trey Reed, and they did in multiple ways. And then they wanted to go on. So we talked to them about, do you want to continue with homecoming festivities? Do you want to continue with this activity? And their thought was, yes, this community needs to keep being a community. So our students really drove the tempo and the tone of our on-campus reaction to that event. And as far as our off-campus, I can't control the off-campus. We focused in on our students, and then we focused in on the folks that Trey told us he wanted us to engage when he filled out his emergency contact. And I still continue to be in contact with his next of kin in that regard, and just tell them that we still think of them, and we're still, we're still trade school for as long as they want us to consider that.
Dr. Dennis, thank you so much for your time this morning. Great visiting with you.